Again. I feel like a broken record, but we have said this before. Again. I feel like a broken record, but we've said this before. We don't usually do Vancouver Canucks pre-game related videos, but there were a number of notes from earlier this morning heading into today's game versus Nashville that I thought were interesting enough to dive into, and I think there's enough here that we can create one long narrative from it. So, let's head over to Brendan Batchelor's Twitter account, because he retweeted some of the Vancouver Canucks' recent videos. Quinn Hughes going out there and saying that he's good to go. He is in tonight's game versus Nashville. So Vancouver getting their captain back. Obviously, that's a pretty good sign. They need all the support they can get. And Adam Foote went out there and gave Canucks fans even more positive news to chew on. The coach confirms Hughes is in, and he says that Garland is close, with Blueger the next closest to return after that. So Vancouver is slowly getting their guys back, which is very necessary at this point. I mean, half the gosh darn team is literally AHL guys. So no disrespect, of course, to Mackenzie McEachern, Natu Ratu. These guys were able to get assists in recent games. Drew O'Connor is not technically an AHL guy, but the way that he's able to finish, I mean, he's really started to show more as of late. Let's just say that. And then on the blue line, you're still having these pairings going over here, although I do kind of question where exactly Wilander is going to be. I thought that he played very well with Elias Pettersson, so who knows if things get moved around a little bit with Hughes back in the fold, but the Canucks still do have all these remaining injuries. Forbort, Höglander, Lekaramaki, Hedel, Blueger, Mancini, Connor Garland. This is like half of an entire gosh darn team, it looks like. So Vancouver getting these guys back, assuming everybody else stays healthy, that would totally be necessary for this team to improve some of their results. And I say improve some of their results because there was a post that was on Jay Fresh's Twitter account that I thought was so interesting, and it sparked a lot of conversation amongst Vancouver Canucks fans that I wanted to talk about this here. So, Jay Fresh posted a quick look at all situations expected goals differentials in the sports logic versus top-down model. It's common for there to be a decent bit of deviation early on, especially thanks to special teams. The biggest takeaway is that these public models think the Canucks are bad, but sports logic thinks they're bad. So, essentially, Jay Fresh is comparing two different public models of NHL expected goal differentials for teams and marking them down on a chart. These are all situation sports logic expected goal model via TSN, and you can look at how this is deployed. So, top right, you're good. Bottom left, you're bad. Colorado is really strong. They're not overrated, they are just good. They have a high expected goal plus-minus per game via the public charts and sport logic. They're the best team in terms of being able to score and keep the puck out of their net. A lot of teams are around the middle here, but the Vancouver Canucks are at the bottom left of the screen. They are the worst team in the National Hockey League, with negative metrics for expected goal plus-minus per game on the public charts as well as sport logic charts too. It's not looking good for Vancouver. And a lot of Canucks fans went out there and defended their team, as rightfully so. You know, Canucks fans like to do that. Like, yay, like, they're so hurt. Of course they're that bad. This team is barely keeping afloat. They're starting out a PDO bender again this season with guys going out there and scoring a heck of a ton of goals. Kiefer Sherwood's getting breakaways every other shift. He's scoring from distance. Drew O'Connor's now starting to score. These guys are unlikely goal scorers who have really stepped up in the absence of Quinn Hughes, Philip Hedel, Connor Garland, etc. And the Canucks are squeaking out points, but the charts say they are still not generating enough to justify everything. And I guess maybe that's a little unfair because if you take a look at it, the Vancouver Canucks, as we talked about, I mean, they are one of the worst teams in the NHL right now. Go down here, they're 28th. So Yeah, that's pretty tough. Although you could make the debate that if Vancouver just had, let's say, 3 more points, they would jump from 28 all the way up to 11th. So there's a lot of parity in the NHL right now. This is what we were talking about in a previous video. Literally, if Vancouver had 1 more win, they would be up there in a tie for 14th, 13th, 12th in the NHL in points. Instead, they're down to 28th. So yeah, that just kind of illustrates the big gap that doesn't seem to exist in this year's NHL scoring race. Look at San Jose, for example. They're 30th in the National Hockey League. The gap between 30th and, let's just say, 7th is only 5 points. I get it, 5 points early on in the season is quite a lot, but still, lots of parity going on here in the NHL. And Dan Murphy went out there and posted this. We'll see whether or not it's going to be Demko, but it looks like it's going to be Demko against the Predators today. He's guessing it's P.O. Joseph coming out for Quinn Hughes. This was earlier in the morning, but hopefully Thatcher the Snatcher is able to recuperate himself after that game against Minnesota. Speaking about guys that are important and valuable on the Vancouver Canucks, though, there was another post that I wanted to go out there and read to y'all here. Adam Kierszenblat, a quote from Adam Foote speaking about Elias Pettersson today. There's such a hard matchup on Petey right now. You saw him defend so well against McDavid's line 5-on-5. We're in a situation with the injuries that it's hard to get him away from the hard matchup. I'm just so happy the way he's playing. He's playing in the mud and in the dirt. It's not easy. And I guess a lot of the Vancouver Canucks are playing in the mud, in the dirt right now, considering the injuries and considering this, the fact that they're all the way down there at the bottom left of the graph of expected goal plus minus per game. They're doing very poorly in that respect. And Elias Pettersson is being tasked with being the hard matchup guy, which is probably expected out of him. He's making 11.6. He's not producing as much as you would hope an $11.6 million guy would, but he is looking better than he did last year, which I guess is a step, but still, there are more steps to be taken before Petey can be true to his 100-point self. Speaking of which, this is what Satyar Shah said on 650 this morning. He's heard that Elias Pettersson's trade value is 0 at the moment. Which I didn't really expect us to get into a quote-unquote trade update for Elias Pettersson, but at this point, it's like, yeah, I don't really think a lot of NHL teams would be interested in this guy, a hard matchup guy playing for an injury-depleted Canucks team who's not showing the confidence he has had in his 100-point season, and who is still making $11.6 million a year. Again, Petey has looked better, but he's not at his peak yet. Which is okay, give him a little bit more time, but I do kind of look at this and I remember how last year Elias Pettersson was almost traded for Marty Necas, a guy who was going out there and doing some crazy good things with the Colorado Avalanche right now. There were some arguments on Twitter today debating whether or not Vancouver would have been better off with Marty Necas and whether or not Necas and his over point per game production in Colorado would have translated in Vancouver if surrounded by the personnel that the Canucks have right now. I mean, Necas is being fed by Makar and McKinnon, and they're producing like crazy as well, so I do wonder if that would actually be as effective in Vancouver if they tried to use Necas instead of Petey. You could say that the same thing that's happening to Petey would have happened with Necas had he been traded to Vancouver last year. But now, Petey, his trade value is 0. Not great. Let's go out there and read. He has a no-move clause. Nobody is asking about Pettersson until he asks to be traded. Teams ask about everybody all the time. Everyone knows this. More experts that know nothing. He was asking a question about if Pettersson is tradable if Hughes decides to take off. He obviously can't cite sources. They have to remain anonymous. So, yeah. Petey's trade value is 0, it looks like. With that in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about all these Vancouver Canucks-related news. Hughes is back, Garland's close, Demko's getting the start, it looks like, and Elias Pettersson's trade value is 0. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you didn't, the dislikes also help out too. I hope you enjoyed, though, this video, and bye.